Hello, and welcome to this coffee session with Madison Rose. I'm your host, Madison Rose, and it's great to be here. I am on my front porch, so if you hear birds and other animals alike, they're just doing their morning thing, just like I'm doing my morning thing, about to head to work soon. Yeah, I just wanted to take this time to video blog about Joseph Kony, and this isn't the atypical Kony 2012 hang posters up on the biggest stoner day of the year, 420. I'm not really into that. My biggest question is, who the hell is this Joseph Kony guy? And, why is this the first time we've heard of him? What do we really know about him other than, a 20-minute YouTube video made by a guy who eventually went to San Diego and ran down the street naked masturbating? Should we really be trusting this guy? Who can we trust in this, crazy world of ours? To my point, who's Joseph Kony? So I decided to do some research. And the incredibly accurate and well-supported website Wikipedia says Joseph Rayo Kony, born around July-September of 1961, they don't even know when he was born, is the head of the Lord's Resistance Army, or also known as the LRA, a Ugandan guerrilla group. While initially enjoying strong public support, the LRA allegedly turned on its own supporters, supposedly to purify the Akoli people, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and turn Uganda into a theocracy. Kony proclaims himself as a spokesperson of God and a spirit medium, has nurtured a cult of personality, and claims he is visited by a multinational host of 13 spirits, including a Chinese phantom. Ideologically, the group is a syncretic mix of mysticism, Akoli nationalism, Islam, and Christian fundamentalism, and claims to be established in a theocratic state based on the Ten Commandments and local Akoli tradition. Let's backtrack a little bit, because, we can always trust Wikipedia. I mean, no matter what, Wikipedia is always right because it's made by people like me and like you. So, I trust me. So, Kony, we aren't sure when he's born. Somewhere, this 3-month gap between July and September of 1961. He was born somewhere, sometime, he had to be born, he's a guy, or so we think. People initially supported him, and he claims that he is the spokesperson of God, a spirit medium, and his religious beliefs include Islam, Christianity, a Chinese phantom, and mysticism. So, let's just discuss that for a moment. Okay. How can I say this without offending everybody in the world? This guy basically worships every religion and does everything, well, not every religion, but, some of the bigger ones. Although mysticism, I don't know. And he follows the fundamental beliefs of all of them and the Ten Commandments. So therefore, he is supporting something that hundreds of thousands of millions of people support every day. He has been ordering the abduction of children to become child sex slaves and child soldiers. An estimated 66,000 children became soldiers, and 2 million people have been internationally displaced since 1986. Kony was indicted for war crimes and crimes against humanity by the International Crime Court in Hague, Netherlands in 2005. It is evaded capture. Again, nobody knew about this guy or cared. The Netherlands were the only people that stepped up and did anything about it, and then all of a sudden, some guy posts a 20-minute YouTube video and everyone's, getting involved and donating their little pretty penny. My biggest problem is when people donate to charities that they have no clue what is going on. And I don't even think anybody knows what this guy is, because, if you're worshiping Islam and mysticism and Christianity, they're all kind of contradicting to each other. So I think he's just batshit crazy. He's not the first person to make children sex slaves. I'm pretty sure that's what truck stops in the Midwest are for. So, it happens here. Don't understand why we're taking our cues, again, from a guy who made a 20-minute YouTube video, and all of a sudden, a couple people cried, they liked it, they shared it on Facebook, and now it is a world issue. What do we know? I don't personally really know anything other than what I saw and now what I'm reading from Wikipedia. to say Joseph Kony is even bad. He could actually just be like, the next Michael Jackson. Maybe he has a kid farm. Maybe they like being there. Maybe there's a Ferris wheel. We don't know. The guy that, they interviewed in the, Invisible Children, video, that was one kid that they talked to. One kid. One kid, and they made a video and utilized, all the tricks and wheels of time-lapse and Google Maps and, hey, let's put Facebook in our video because everybody loves Facebook. Yeah, let's get people real involved. What do we know about this guy? We don't know anything. Aside from the Netherlands, issuing, war crimes and crimes against humanity for him in 2005, which was, if you do the math, quite a bit of time ago. Nobody really knows what the hell's going on. It's very easy for people, especially people in the West, westernized people, to see sort of, there's actually a communication model for it. I won't bore you with it, but it's called this two-step flow theory, where the media picks something up to influence the public, and then the public just goes crazy with Leonardo DiCaprio and blood diamonds. Hey, everybody don't buy blood diamonds. Leonardo DiCaprio and his wonderful little dimples told you not to. I mean, what do you honestly know about blood diamonds? Nothing. So, nothing other than what you've read on the internet or you've had other people tell you who've never even been there. Do you think Leonardo DiCaprio has ever been to one of those mines? Another example. Apple. They released a fake report, journalist did. It was completely embellished about, the iPhone factories and how these people were jumping out of the windows and killing themselves, which they weren't. So then they had this charity watchdog group go in and limit their hours because they were working 60 hours a week, and all the people were mad because that's their money and that's how they make a living. And it might not be as glamorous as, showing your hoo-ha or in TV or drinking or, any of the other stupid first world jobs that we have. But that's their jobs, and it's their livelihood. It sucks. They were born in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm very lucky to be a woman living in America. If I was living anywhere, in the Middle East or, in Africa, I would have a very different life. I wouldn't be educated. But it's the reality of it. And, you have to be very careful when you donate to charities because, when the earthquake happened in Haiti, everyone was texting Haiti, to donate $10, and all that money went towards their military to buy them new cars. None of that went to those people. In fact, they were completely displaced, and now they live at the bottom of a mountain where there's no water, no jobs, no factories. So, you have to be incredibly careful with what you deem a worthy cause. And I particularly don't think that we should be listening to some guy who runs around naked and put his little kid in the video for sympathy points. Oh, this could be my kid. My kid could be an invisible kid. Well, no, your kid's not an invisible kid because you live in California and you have a good job. And you just so happen to be white and live in America. So you're a white male over the age of 25. You were fine. Your child would never be invisible unless you were addicted to drugs or actually, he probably is because I don't know if you noticed, but he was naked. And I mean incredibly naked. And he did a little dance. So I think we need to be wary. I don't think we know who Joseph Kony is. I don't think we know enough about the situation. I don't understand why we would want to get involved in something that we don't really even know the semantics of. Like I said, he could have a kid farm. There could be ponies. We don't know. Are you on Joseph Kony's farm right now watching this? Absolutely not, because you have internet access. So unless you can actually go over there and see what's going on and deem whatever is a worthy cause, then whatever. Sure, this video is gonna, ruffle a couple people's feathers, but the point is that you need to be very careful with what you support. This guy's obviously a cult leader. He's obviously insane because I don't know how you mix Islam mysticism and Christian fundamentalism. That's like being a Muslim Catholic. Tell me if that makes sense. Knowing his power, Chicago, you have to be particularly careful with these things. I really, really emphasize upon that because you don't know where your money's going and you honestly don't know what's going on because you're isolated in a bubble that is called America. And they let in what they want you to see and they don't let in what they don't want you to see. So think about that next time you go and you buy a Crazy Guys packets that come with a wrist bracelet and a poster. Okay? I don't take anybody seriously who's giving out friendship bracelets. Alright? And I hope he sees this, and I hope that he re-strategizes his whole plan and keeps his clothes on the next time. It's this coffee session with Madison Russ. Yeah, knowing his power. Hello everyone. I shot that video earlier this morning, and it's come to my attention that not everyone understands the miracle of satire as I do, and that some of you may be offended. However, I encourage you to agree to disagree on anything that I have said. You can agree to disagree that Joseph Kony has a pony farm in which he keeps his 66,000 children. I obviously don't feel that way, and if you honestly believe that I felt that way, then, you know, maybe this blog isn't for you. You can agree to disagree about anything that I said about the religion. However, I still don't see how a Chinese phantom and Islam and the Ten Commandments exactly fit together. I still think he's crazy. I am not disputing that Joseph Kony isn't a war criminal. I 110% believe that he is insane, a cult leader, and probably going to die alone. All for the better. But I will disagree with you that I do think that people frivolously throw monies at charities that they have no clue really or what about or where the money goes. So my last point, and I will leave this link in my blog right down there, is a fact about the Invisible Children campaign, which is from an article that says, Invisible Children has been condemned time and time again. As a registered not-for-profit, its finances are public. Last year, the organization spent $8,676,614. Only 32% went to direct services, with much of the rest going to staff salaries, travel, and transport and film production. So, again, my point is that these videos are intended to play on our humanity. I obviously reposted the video when I first saw it. When I first saw it, I cried. I thought it was sad because nobody wants to see a little kid talking about, that he doesn't want to be alive anymore because his friends and family are all dead. Nobody wants to see that. And of course it's going to play on our humanity, and we want to throw something at it to fix it. And so the first thing that comes to our mind is money. How can we fix this? We can't be there. But again, I strongly encourage you, and I always back this up, that you really, really, really need to look into the charities that you are, donating towards, and that sometimes they're not as noble as they seem. I'm not criticizing the fact that I, think Joseph Kony isn't a war criminal. I'm sure he is. I know he is. But I am criticizing the whole Invisible Children movement because I just don't know, if it's a sham or not, to be totally honest. And I don't know, again, if we really know as much about the situation as we need to know in order for us to do something about it. So, agree to disagree with me all you want. There's a comment box. Will I respond? Maybe. So, the next time you're thinking about coming towards me with some pitchforks and burning my house down, just know that I have a German Shepherd. And I will probably escape. So, yeah, I'm fast and I'm little. So, good luck. I'm not a grandma, nor am I grandma, but it was a good talk. Have a nice day.